couple topics first. Grabbed something off Reddit, which was kind of interesting. Somebody had gone into the call centers sub and is actually looking through a Pure Cloud question. So it's kind of interesting because here they're saying they've been working with the system for a while, and I'm pretty sure I understand how a queue works. I guess our supervisors have to refresh just into available and then back on queue every 10 minutes to push ourselves back into the top of the queue so we'll get calls. I mean, they're essentially trying to reset an accountability setting. I would think that they really don't they have to jump to the top of the queue. They should be evenly distributed as far as like how the calls come in, first in, first out, but you don't always know how the queue is set up. They could be using some sort of preferred agent. Highly doubt it though. Nobody really uses preferred agent unless they have like an integration of some kind. So, all right, we've been working with this for a while, and I'm pretty sure I understand how the queue on it works. I think I'm reading that as they have typed it. Our supervisors have us refresh by going into available and back on queue every 10 minutes to push ourselves back to the top of the queue so we'll get calls. I assume, what are they trying to get ahead of? If they're doing that and there's other people waiting, or the other agents, I don't know if they're kind of in a Shark Tank scenario where they need to kind of like get the calls as much as they're like first in, first out, kind of in a salesy manner. But okay, let's get to the second paragraph. But lately, I have been getting calls nonstop, while my coworkers will go sometimes 20 to 30 minutes without a call. We are supposed to verify each time we refresh. Is there some kind of setting in the back end that has made it so I'm able to be a high priority for calls? It seems incredibly imbalanced that I'm constantly busy and also getting in hot water for any time I spend more than 15 seconds on after call work, ACW, while others are twiddling their thumbs. Yeah, I think there is a scaling problem here. It would seem like there is maybe some sort of prioritization setup or something, so we'll see what people discuss down here. I'm a little confused. Wouldn't refreshing defeat the purpose of having the queue? Exactly. I think there's a confusing concept with what they're saying is the refresh by going on queue, off queue, because I mean, throwing yourself in available is really taking yourself out of the queue, and you don't really want to do that because it's going to hurt your stats. You're going to have like, I mean, that is a thing that you want as an agent over time, is actually being in the queue for a very, kind of blue bar in your timeline. If you have all these available ones, you're just going to go green and then on queue, and really green like sounds good because you're available to take direct calls, but you're not really doing your job as a call center agent. You need to be on call all the time, or as much as you can, to get your kind of stats worked up, and that's what's good for you as an agent. So going into available, I don't think is really good from like even just a workforce management perspective. So, okay. So yeah, a little bit of a weird policy there. They say it's because the system will time out if you don't refresh. That doesn't happen. Hopefully it's not timing out. That would be a very bad thing for a call center product. So, I mean, I know it's browser-based, so things are a little bit different these days, whereas most call center applications, they would build their own clients and stuff like that. But nowadays, with it being in a browser, those things should stay up unless you have some really bad memory issue. Okay. They want us to essentially put ourselves on the top of the queue if we've been waiting too long for a call. Either way, I haven't had to refresh in 2 weeks because I've been so busy. Okay, so being so busy means you don't have to refresh. Okay. I thought maybe they were trying to refresh to go to the back because they thought they were... Okay, all right, we'll figure this out. All right. Whenever I end a call, another one comes in immediately. I'm exhausted. Well, I mean, yeah, if you have other coworkers twiddling their thumb and they should be getting those calls as though they are skilled to get those calls, then yeah, there's probably some sort of prioritization going on. But again, if you're still using availability in the calculation of the skills, it should be evenly distributing. Supposedly, our supervisors can see if a refresh is happening or not. Yeah, again, this refreshing and you being put in quotes is good because I'm not really sure if that's actually a thing or not. I don't know how a supervisor would know that. I don't know if they're thinking like when they go available and then go in queue, the supervisor's like refreshing their whole page, but I generally would avoid refreshing the Genesys whole interface because it does take a while to load all the kind of dependencies. Like a lot of times, navigate what you can within the environment from menu to menu and don't hit that refresh button. It can take a while. Okay, I'm so scared to go to sleep. The same. Anyone suffering again? Good grief. Okay. It's like you are the only one working. Like the entire rest of the call center is just sitting there with twiddling thumbs. Okay. Okay. That's an interesting point. Going in and not responding. I would really think the supervisors know that one. Now, if you're auto answer, that doesn't matter. Auto answer just means everybody's going to be getting calls in dead air if the agent doesn't have their headset on. Don't wait for the message to refresh. Okay. Vaguely, jiggle the mouse every 5 minutes. Okay, that's not going to help. I think you're using about like a mouse mover to like keep on it. But again, the application's going to, even if you're not like moving your mouse and you're staying in queue, it's still going to deliver you calls if you're on queue. It's not necessarily looking at your mouse as to whether it's going to deliver a call to you or not. If you're on queue, it's going to deliver the call. Refreshing makes yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm an admin for Genesys, and what you're saying about refreshing makes no sense whatsoever. There are a few things that could be set up in your system to make calls. Skills-based routing, yes. In the call flow, there are skills associated with the transfer. You have that skill and have more stars on that skill. They have the queue set to best available skills, yeah. Preferred agent routing. Yes, preferred agent routing. Good that it's mentioned here, but nobody really uses it. I've seen it used in a few instances of integrations where the CRM will pull a record based on the caller ID or call number, and they're like, oh, we've got an agent in our system that we know handles this account usually. Let's prefer that agent. And then if they don't answer it after a certain amount of time, then it overflows basically to all the other agents. So that's preferred agent in a nutshell. But it's a version of bullseye routing, really, just very specific to a particular agent. So in some ways, better than bullseye, because bullseye is when it comes to workforce management. So, okay, preferred agent associated. You're the lucky preferred agent. I really don't think that's the case, though. I don't think they'd really have it to like this. They've configured it so specifically for this queue. This one agent's getting it preferred agent all the time. For some reason, agent permissions. Agents are abusing it. I had to make custom roles and access to it. Okay, yeah. Sometimes there can be permissions given to certain agents for maybe them to adjust, what they're able to do. Yeah. Taking themselves in and out of a queue. There's different ways to look at that, right? So, when you become a member of a queue, you're part of it, and so you're there. Now there's another layer to it called activation. So sometimes the activation permission is given to agents, not always. I think it's probably, if you really trust your agents, go for it. And let them go active in a queue or non-active that way they can kind of handle their workload if they're maybe taking emails from a separate queue or they're like voicemails. But yeah, most of the time you really shouldn't be giving agents their own activation. That's really a supervisor job role, really. Supervisors come in the day, they're seeing how queues are looking, maybe even the voicemail queue from the night before, and then adjust based on, man, we gotta get some people active in this queue. Let me add in 5 agents being active, and they're good to go. The membership, the thing I was mentioning earlier, only admins really should be messing with that because that affects reporting. So you want agents to be in there as members, so your reporting is accurate of saying like, yeah, these people are there. But then again, they don't have to take interactions from that queue every day. Sometimes I think I use like the analogy of, if you've got somebody and they take calls from a queue, even just like once a month, because like, I don't know, first Mondays of the month are just really tough. And so you have a few other agents you like to add in, make sure they're members of that queue the whole year. Don't add the members as like one day and then remove their membership. Make sure they're members the whole year and then just change the activation for that one day. It'll save yourself a lot of headache in reporting. Okay. Yeah, this refresh thing is odd. I mean, it could be. I mean, because when you do change your activation, you kind of have to refresh that particular area of the screen for that status to kind of be. But again, it's happened in the system. It's just for your display to actually show that you as an agent have gone inactive. And the same thing for supervisors. When they deactivate a user within a queue, it'll kind of prompt you like, hey, refresh, because your view displayer is not going to show them active yet. So maybe that's what they're thinking. But again, that doesn't matter. Like in the system, it's already there. So okay. Yeah, so there's a training for the supervisors ASAP. Yeah, but, probably want to at least help the supervisors understand what they should be telling the agents, and trying to get away from this refresh terminology. Because even as I'm just was just explaining the refresh of that supervisor view, it's really just to kind of make sure that the most recent information about who is active and who is not active is currently displayed in their view. But again, that refresh should be a little kind of like refresh circle in the view itself, not the browser. You do not want to refresh. It's going to have to load the whole, communication bar and everything. That just takes forever. So do not do that. Okay, going from idle to available back to idle. Okay, this. Yeah, I don't know if this person's talking. Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, here they're bringing in the fact that Genesys Cloud does have a 5-star system of skills. 5-star people get the call ahead of a 1-star. Yeah, that is very true. Unless there's like a massive discrepancy in the time between the 5-star person and the 1-star person. But again, the 5 stars is, like they're most proficient, and so you can go 4-star of a particular skill within a queue. So you could even just say, like, and I've seen this before, you create a queue and you only add 1 skill, and it's just like general skill. You could make it so that 100% of your calls coming in get the general skill. So at a certain point, it's like, well, why did we create those kind of buckets if we really just have 1, and that's for our queue anyway? And the reason being is people do like to set some proficiencies among their agents. So having a general skill that all the calls get through your call flow, through your IVR, you got that all set, then that means you can then, say like, okay, this agent's going to be a 1-star, so they won't get calls as much. They still should though, because eventually the system is going to kick to say like, okay, this agent is preferred now for the next call, because it's been such a long time that they will get a call ahead of a 5-star. So that will happen eventually. Yeah, okay, so yeah, they didn't know about the 5-star system. And again, that is a very much a admin level type task. Supervisors should not have that. Sometimes it's given to like an advanced supervisor to be able to adjust the star rating for the agents and the skilling. But yeah, we try and avoid that when we set up systems. We want to make sure that really it's just admins. Because again, it goes into workforce management. If you're going to be using workforce management tools to kind of really plan out what your workforce is going to be and do that and use those forecasting elements, I mean, you got to have like accurate data sitting in there for that. So if you're throwing around memberships of agents, a lot of different skilling assignments for agents almost on a daily basis, your forecasting is just not going to be accurate. It's okay with activation. Activation is like the one thing you can kind of go back and forth with agents, because it factors that into a lot of its calculations. But the admin roles of skill assignment, star rating on that skill assignment, and queue membership, do not change those things on a regular basis. Okay, company should get less calls. Okay, now we're getting into more of a workforce management type discussion, which comes up all the time in call center talks. Is, well, we should just hire more agents, and that's one way to look at it. But yeah, with the agents we have, we want to make sure that everything is evenly distributed as much as possible. So yeah, we have a problem if one agent is getting all the calls versus the other ones and they're just not doing anything. But yeah, if we've got it to the point of where calls are all being delivered and we have really high wait times in our queues, then we've got a workforce management issue, and there's just nothing that the technology can solve there. Yeah. Again, this person's kind of saying like, yeah, digging into the routing setup. Again, it's kind of getting to that, I think, a needing of looking into the skill assignments. So that's probably what a lot of people hopping in here for the system want to comment on. No calls. Yeah, okay. I think they're getting confused on the refresh thing, so I don't even want to dive into that anymore. Yes, okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think I've said it multiple times. Main idea is go in, have the admins look at the proficiency of each of the agents in skilling. If you're not using skilling at all, maybe there's kind of some weird way that the agents are active in the queues, and the supervisors need to be trained on that, of activating or not activating. So yeah, those are the things I'd look at, activation and those. So cool, interesting article.